Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. NFL Week 9. Got Deets in the house. How you doing today, Deets?
Sup? Happy Halloween, or I don't know, it's the Day of the Dead. I'll say this, Lander. We don't even do Thanksgiving in this house anymore, and it makes me kind of sad. We just skip right to Christmas, and apparently America agrees. And I fought the good fight, but it's over. We're gonna start getting a bunch of bullshit Christmas stuff in this house. It's gonna be brutal.
November is the kind of the cutoff, and does that mean you're just going to be full in on 3 games of Turkey Day football? I imagine.
I mean, yeah, I'll be rocking and rolling on Thanksgiving. Don't get me wrong. And we'll still do Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving has now just become part of Christmas, which I never agreed to. The Pilgrims never agreed to.
That's true.
This is, if you need an argument against capitalism, it's not our picks. It's the Christmasization of Thanksgiving. Everyone says that you can't say Merry Christmas anymore, and yet I hear Christmas earlier and earlier every year, folks.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Well, what we're doing, we're finding football picks is what we're doing. Whether or not we have turkey on Thanksgiving, we're going to be looking for football picks. And in this video, we're going to be looking for touchdown picks very specifically, so that we can get some money in our pockets, so Dieter can pay for Christmas in November. Deets, I don't even want to talk about anything else. Week 9 is going to be interesting in the NFL for a lot of reasons. I'm sure we'll cover it as we get into the touchdown plays anyway. So let's talk about your first play and get right into it.
It's pretty straightforward, Josh. If I were to say that the number 2 receiver in the NFL in catches and the number 11 receiver in the NFL in yards was giving you 2-1, better than 2-1 value to score a touchdown, you would hammer that pick. So you should hammer Brock Bowers, the second leading receiver in the NFL per receptions and 11th in receiving yards as a tight end. You should hammer him to score a touchdown at, what's the number you have here?
I have plus 230 now as the top price on FanDuel.
That's what I see as well, my friend.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? I understand that the Raiders have no offense, that they have arguably the worst rushing offense in the history of the NFL. I get all of these things. Brock Bowers has produced week in and week out. He just simply has not produced touchdowns. But he's a tight end. Like, you bet on tight ends to score touchdowns. Yeah. He's clearly capable of beating man-to-man defense, finding spaces in zones. He's been magnificent. Sure. It just hasn't turned into touchdowns at a 2.3-1 value. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? This is a no-brainer. And if I lose, so be it. I can play this for the next 2 weeks and still come out ahead.
That's the beautiful part about playing these tutties, is if you don't hit, you're still just going to have at least you have a good price the following week. The thing that I like that's interesting too is last week, 5 receptions, 5 targets against a bad defense against tight ends, but the best defense in the NFL that said the only thing we're going to care about is you. We don't care about Jacoby Myers. We don't care about Trey Tucker. We don't care about anybody. And I don't even know who else they would have to care about. So 5 receptions on 5 targets is great. He's going to have Minshew throwing him the ball for at least like a quarter or two before Minshew fumbles and probably gets benched again by Antonio Pierce. But
it doesn't matter.
I don't care.
You and I could be the quarterback. It makes sense to throw the ball to Brock Bowers.
Exactly. And they're going to throw. They're definitely going to throw because you are not running Alexander Madison into Chris Jones and company and finding success. So they're going to throw. I think you just keep going back to Bowers. I think you can still take receptions and tutties. Oh, receptions is getting crazy, but these targets are also kind of crazy since Devontae left, right? The targets here, 12, 10, 14, and then could only get 5 as he's bracketed by 3 linebackers and a safety against the Chef.
He was triple team consistently against the Chefs. Right. It was, and yet he still had a decent game by tight end standards.
Totally. So, 5. And then, I wanted to look one more thing at the red zone targets, and the target share is up at about 20%. I mean, the team barely gets into the red zone. He can score from anywhere. He's got his lone touchdown was 55 yards.
That's right.
In this game. So he can score in a variety of ways. Love Brock. I think that's a great pick.
Plus 230. I mean, if I saw it at plus 160, 170, I'd be like, I kind of see why you'd be against that. The fact that 100%. There's a 2 and it's not a minus.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
You gotta run with it. Yeah.
Gotta run.
And so I'm looking at a similar play here for my next one. I'm going to Monty. Because this is a touchdown prop that has been at like minus 150 at times because he had one in every game before last week. Looks like he's healthy. Looks like we got rain. We also have Jared Goff outside, right? But we also have a
bad ankle.
Team Yes, very bad. What's it like 68% completion percentage inside?
Well, yeah,
44?
no, I mean, he's not a road pooper. We
Yeah.
know that about him, but like even more so, he's not barely, he's limited in practice. So you have Jared
Mm,
Goff in the elements
yeah.
with a bum ankle. Like, yeah, David Montgomery's going to touch the ball today.
Yep, 100%. And I mean, you can get into the numbers. I mean, 3 red zone attempts per game. You're not going to find that 51% of the share there. He and Gibbs have had touchdowns together in, I believe it's like something stupid, like 12 of 19 games that they've played together. They
Yeah.
both get a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I'm always saying, like, if you want to juice up Montgomery's touchdown, maybe you just add Gibbs, because it's going to be a little bit of negative correlation that helps you out. But for Monty too, right? In this matchup, this is where I think the Packers are the softest, is between the tackles. And then you've got an old line that is just absolutely massacring people for this line squad on both sides of the ball. It's why they're such a good team. And if you look at him last time against Green Bay, had a touchdown in that one on 32 attempts, and Jahmyr Gibbs played in that one. That was last Turkey Day. But all this stuff, all the snap share, everything for him, it's all in these like scoring opportunities as well. So I'm not going to find -110. This is going to go right back to -130 to -140 as soon as Monty scores in this one. So I'm going to take that -110. I would play this to -120 if that's all you can find as well.
Yeah, that's great value there. I mean, it's just anywhere close to even money for David Montgomery. I do think that probably some of the injury concerns that he's had in recent weeks are maybe built into this price a bit. But you let me know when Dan Campbell gives a damn about that kind of stuff. He's going to ride this dude all the way to the finish line. And it's pretty clear. I mean, I have a play in this one that I'll just go to right now.
In it.
Amon-Ra St. Brown plus 115 to score a touchdown, at least as when I last checked. Amon-Ra St. Brown scored a touchdown in his last 5 games. He scored a touchdown in 9 of his last 11 regular season games.
Damn.
Like, I like Green Bay's defense a lot, but when they're in the red zone, they scheme up ways to get Amon-Ra St. Brown the ball.
True.
They find ways to get him to score because he is, again, this is been something we've talked about with the 49ers also. He's a man-to-man beater. I know they put him in the slot and he's getting off coverage a lot, but he's somebody who runs routes to the point where Jared Goff is willing to risk it because there's enough separation to try to get that ball in there. And this offense is, yes, it's a run-first offense. It's schemed around the run game, but the second option behind run the football is get the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
And I see no reason that the Green Bay Packers would be change the formula that has he's just scored a ton of touchdowns. Why would we think it's going to stop? And why would we think that it's plus money for a guy who scored touchdowns in 9 of his last 11 games? This doesn't make any sense.
Yep. 100% agree. And is how crazy that Sam Laporta is getting all his touchdowns outside of the red zone.
Yeah.
And you're getting Amon-Ra St. Brown on these short routes inside the 10, for instance, right? Yeah, it's pretty interesting when you've got a shifty receiver who, I guess just because of the way he plays in tight spaces, he's able to get there. I was going to see how good this defense is against the tight end as well. And it is
Green Bay's. Yeah, it's not great, not terrible.
Not great. Middle of the pack. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But I do like that they're in the bottom 8 in allowing wide receiver touchdowns as well. So they are letting those wide receivers get into the end zone. Not nearly as impressive at corner as they are up front, I would say.
But I would say the argument is, oh, well, they're good against wide receivers. Like, you need to narrow that down because I do think they're great against outside receivers, the X and the Z. But what are you doing against a wide receiver? What are you doing against a guy who's in tight splits? And a 21 personnel? Like, it really depends. Guys outside the numbers, they're getting locked down. They have Jair Alexander. Of course they are. I think they have an unbelievable defensive coordinator and some young, really good players. But when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown and they're moving him all around the formation, they can put him outside, but they're finding ways to get him the ball from near where the ball is snapped, flank, slot, backfield. Ben Johnson has clearly made it a priority to get Amon-Ra St. Brown the ball in crunch time, big money down situations. It's been a very good policy so far. Again, 9 of the last 5 games this season.
Yep. I like it a lot. I'm going to go to a game that, man, it's interesting. I'm talking Cowboys for the third play here that we're putting out. Yeah. Or fourth rather.
Yeah.
I'm going to the big tight end. I think it's a time for him. I think we found this is a good moment basically for Jake Ferguson, who say what you want about the season. I'm trying to go to the yards just to see what he's been looking like. Say what you want about the season. I mean, he's not the only Cowboy having an underwhelming season so far. I'll say that.
To say the least.
To say the very least. But 7 targets per game. He's got a nice target share as well. And then inside the red zone, if you look at the tutty, still a decent target share, about 13%. You'd like that to be at closer to 20 for him. But it's this one essentially, like, I think this is a toothless Falcons pass rush is going to help Jake Ferguson a bit. He's a tight end that can get some air yards. He's athletic enough to play a little bit further downfield. And that's, that's what we're eyeing against, basically a one-dimensional sort of pass defense for this squad at this point. You've got AJ Terrell on CD, so that's good. We get him out of the way. And then you saw the result of that in recent games, like Cade Otton going off as, really they didn't have anybody else to throw to, but Cade Otton goes off. I would say Tolbert is not someone Jalen Tolbert, not really someone I'm worried about taking some of his stuff. That was something that was kind of a concern. And there was a couple of weeks where Jalen Tolbert was healthy, got some snaps, and when Brandon Cooks went down, and we thought that might take away from Ferguson. Then it was like, no, this is false. This is not a good enough wide receiver to catch balls right now. But if you look at him for in 9 of 12, it's basically his last 12 games is what I was looking at. He's had a couple bad games in there because of the fact that there was a really, really good pass defenses. Fred Warner just had his way with him. He was humiliated in Detroit, as was that whole team, obviously. But before those last 2 games specifically, too, he was getting better. Previous 3, he had 6.3 receptions a game, 71 yards per game in there, 11 yards per catch, which is what I'm talking about, very high for a tight end. So I think he can score from multiple places. I mean, you want to call it a get-right game. This would be the one where you go, okay, the Cowboys are going to turn their season around like they did last year with the ability to pass against this Falcons defense. I don't know if it's going to happen, but Jake Ferguson should at least be the beneficiary of some ability against a bad defense against tight ends.
If it's not CD, it's going to be Jake Ferguson. I see no reason to go off of that. They can't run the football. Tolbert's not reliable. They're going to have to go on long drives to score because they're just going to two-shell them and play quarters again and again and again and let CD get – I think CD had 17 targets last week. And even so, he had a nice game in the third quarter when the script was completely loose. So, I do think that they, if they're trying to scheme stuff up, they don't seem to be able to scheme CD Lamb opportunities because defenses are so focused on them. So you can definitely scheme up opportunities for Ferguson. My concern would be the Shoemaker's a pretty good tight end too, and they do like to rotate them. But I'm with you on Ferguson. I think it's a good bet. What's the number you're getting on it?
For the tutty, I was still getting decent plus money. I was close. Yeah, I was at plus 190. I think this went up. So I was looking at DraftKings earlier. It's plus 190. But you can get 210 on FanDuel and Caesars. Yeah,
love it. Love a 2-1 there. And
for a tight end, giving up a good amount. Versus the tight end have the Falcons defense because they play that 3 high essentially. So
you're right. That's a 3 high. And they have good safeties, but they want to make sure that they just don't get burned over the top by CD Lamb or they have actually say what you will about Dallas, they have some explosive players. But they have nothing.
No run game. Rico Dowdle clearly ain't it. Yeah, we're there. When they try to run Zeke out, it's like, stop it. He's already dead.
Why are we doing the Cowboys Hall of Fame reenactments? It's like that Tostitos commercial where Dan Marino and
they all go back into play.
Back and start playing again. That's what it looks like when Ezekiel Elliott's in the backfield.
Don't hate that commercial. All right, let's get into your final tutty play here.
There's not a lot of analysis here for you, Josh. I'll be very straightforward. Last week I said we're taking Tyreek Hill because he's plus money. It didn't cash. Guess what I'm doing? I'm taking Tyreek Hill plus money again because the odds have improved. They have gone in our favor. It's now plus 135. And let's be very clear about something here. I'm not thrilled about Buffalo's defense. We don't need to get into the weeds on that one. I think Tua in a second game back from the concussion is going to have a better shot here, right? There's no mitigating factors during practice. Nobody's on eggshells seeing if he can get through practice and all that. They got a full week of reps. They're ready to rumble. They have to win. Where are you going to throw the ball if you have to win a game? I don't want to pull back. They have to win this game or their season is over. You can make the playoffs at 3-5. You cannot make the playoffs if you're 2-6. It's not happening. Your season is over if you do not win. I would try to get Tyreek Hill the ball. And if Tyreek Hill has the ball, there's a pretty good chance he's going to score the ball. that would be my policy, but what the hell do I know? You're giving me plus 135 on a dude who, before Tua's injury this season, was consistently negative money, negative value on touchdowns as a wide receiver. And you're telling me that I'm getting 35 points of juice on even? Come on now, let's do it.
Yeah, let's roll. And it looks like they're hanging a plus 165 on DraftKings. That's going to come down. They're going to obviously.
That's gone up from like
DK's
40 minutes ago.
Yeah, and this probably isn't even pulling through correctly, to be honest, because this 165 would be an absurd number for a Tyreek Hill touchdown at this point.
There's just, and it takes one play, right? Like that's the other thing with the Tyreek Hill. You're not like with Brock Bowers, it's going to take like 12 receptions because of the Raiders. When you're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown, like he's going to get his receptions, but then it also has to be schemed up. There's a certain level of game script that you need. Tyreek Hill doesn't need a game script. He needs a go route.
Yeah,
like
he needs a go route.
This is why he's been the toughest wide receiver to bet anytime touchdown for years. Yeah, because any play can be a touchdown. Yeah, you're going to give me plus money again. I'm going right back to the well.
Totally. And if he basically like you said doesn't need the scheme, it was a little bit up in the air when Tua was playing poorly or if they had a bad matchup. Buffalo's defense been very good. I will say we all know that. That's totally fair. Where they're banged up though,
I'm not thrilled about them.
You what?
I'm not thrilled about Buffalo's defense. There's a little bit of schematically. I look at them and they're just really susceptible at linebacker and, as you said, safety.
Yeah. So this would be where you blow up the top and just send Tyreek like on every drive, please, so we can watch him run down the field again consistently. All right, let me close it out here. I got one more, and I'm interested to know what you think because you're from Chicago. Let me just ask you this: Did we go too far the other way on DeAndre Swift, saying that he wasn't a good running back? Is that what happened? I mean,
I'm not the right guy to ask on that one because I think that I have about a 10-minute diatribe on this very show.
And you love Roschon Johnson. I know
terrible.
That too.
We're going down. And then he came out and he looked magnificent. You watch the game and you're like, oh, I'm the dumbest man alive. I'm so stupid. It just took him a while to get going. Typically, when something like that happens, I recuse myself from any deliberations on such player. But I can tell you, to answer your question straightforward, Josh, without me caveating too much, yes, we overdid it. Yes, I overdid it. I admit it. I'm not pleading the fifth here. I overdid it on DeAndre Swift. I don't think he's great, but he's clearly better than I said he was. I'll eat that one.
No, that's fine. You're not the only one.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You just want to put me on.
It's fine. I was basically pulling a Bill Simmons, being like, "Are we sure DeAndre Swift's not good?" And then 2 weeks later, be like, "Are we sure DeAndre Swift is good?" That kind of thing. And look,
I love Rorschach tests. I love Roschon Johnson.
Right.
I love Rorschach test running backs.
Yes, because we can all look at DeAndre Swift and see 9 different things when we look at it. So I completely agree. But I'm getting some plus money against Arizona for the tutty. What's interesting is that Roschon, who I thought was going to be more of a receiving back, even though DeAndre Swift is very good as a receiver as well, like. He's become their goal line back. But at the same time, you still have a situation now where how many goal line opportunities are they going to have against Arizona? One can only imagine. Are you higher on this Arizona defense as of late?
I think that they are schematically sound and that there's some things that are starting to come together. That doesn't mean they're good.
Sure. But maybe they're not as bad as people think. That's fine. I'm still going to target them for sure.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, right. Like 4 of 7 games with a tutty. I mentioned Roschon coming in, taking some stuff. Obviously, 9 attempts against Carolina in the red zone was because they were playing Carolina. You're not going to see that quite as often. Right. But still, Arizona, not that much better of a defense than Carolina. Well, they're probably a lot better.
Okay, they're a lot better. Everybody. I mean, there's arguments to be made.
That's here. A knock on Carolina. That's not a flower for Arizona. But 4 rush attempts inside the red zone in the last 2 games. 1 obviously against the pass funnel like the Jags. 1 against a surprisingly good defense like the Washington Commanders. Just throw that out there. If you still think this is the same defense that we thought it was going to be to start the season, you're wrong.
It's updated, but still don't love calling them good.
No, not good. I said better than we thought they were, which was
surprisingly good. Fair enough.
As bad as Arizona's defense.
Let's argue semantics, Josh.
Yeah, no, you're right. I said as good. DeAndre though, what I like most about him coming into this game is his offense's ability to move the ball. That's really what it is. And he's been incredible between the tackles. He's got multiple touchdown runs of over 30 yards. He can score from anywhere, but they're going to be consistently, I believe, inside of the 20s as they move the ball seamlessly in between it. So with that in mind, I think he's looking at another 3 to 4 goal red zone carries. I'm hoping for at least 2 goal line carries. And I don't think this Bears offensive line, that's been really good, man, been really, really good on both sides of the ball with the line, but definitely on offense. I mean, it has in terms of the rush game. I should be more clear.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams had to run for his life at times, but
it should be noted that their starting left tackle might not play and the backup left tackle isn't playing. And when they went out against Washington, it was hell on earth for Caleb Williams.
Yeah. That's fair.
So something to keep in mind. Now they are much better against the run, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the pass rush. And if anything, you use DeAndre in that sense to sort of neutralize it as best you can. Pretty good pass blocker. I mean, he's a beast. I would say he's pretty good schematically as well when it comes to the pass blocking. This could be a receiving touchdown as well. Right. But
that's where my head's at.
Yeah. So either way, I like him against a team that just gives up running back touchdowns, however you want to get in, receptions, rushing, whatever. Right. Like I believe in DeAndre this week. So he's the third play for me. And yeah, I think we're good with those. Any nominees or anything else that you wanted to add before? Because we're going to get into player props. Should mention we have that episode up as well for you guys.
No, I'm square, man. I feel really good. I mean, I'm getting plus money on Brock Bowers, Tyreek Hill, and Amon-Ra St. Brown on all 3 of them. Yeah. Come on now, let's rumble.
I like it. I like that we're getting a couple of 2-to-1s. We still get plus money for DeAndre Swift, at least. As anything around even money for a running back of his caliber, I'm going to take. I'm eating the juice with David Montgomery because it should still be minus 150, and I'm getting 30 cents, right, at minus 120. So anyway, appreciate the time, Deets. We're going to run player props here for you guys as well, so make sure you check all those out. And until we see you next, happy betting, everyone.